when the Chiefs hit their second, third and long in the game, I definitely thought back to the Niners Chiefs Super Bowl, and you just think about the painful. I mean, he's no Marv Levy and the Bills who lost 4 Super Bowls, but Shanahan's had 2 fucking just knife twisting losses in the biggest game possible.
Not just 4 Super Bowls, 4 straight.
4
Can you,
straight. Yeah.
can you imagine that?
Just
4 straight Super Bowl losses.
I know.
Like one thing, and I'm on several text threads with either season ticket holders, obviously diehard fans, people that watch all these games, people that just are very, very emotionally invested. And you're watching the game last night. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, the Patriots and the Bears combined are not going to have the high-end Pro Bowl talent that the 49ers have. And somehow the 49ers are 3-4. And I think part of this is, and I've defended him, you've defended him, and I still believe in him. But there are times when it's like, I don't feel quite as confident as I definitely do at other times. And I think usually when you're just in unequivocal belief, like this guy's a star. Like I don't pivot off it. Like I believe to my core that like Justin Thomas is going to win 5 or 6 majors, going to be an all-time great player. He misses some cuts or whatever. I might gamble on him and he shoots 75-75 and fucking misses the cut at the US Open. It doesn't change my belief in the player. And coaches, unless you're the cream of the crop, like it is easy to kind of go back and forth. I think college it's easier to just kind of like, Lincoln Riley's really good. Like if you're going to nitpick, like, well, he's lost who? Alabama in the playoffs? Georgia in an overtime game? Like Lincoln Riley is a star fucking head coach. It wasn't debatable 4 years ago. It's not debatable now. Like Jimbo Fisher, that is up for debate, right? It's clearly a disaster.
That's only year 5.
But he wasn't winning. Remember the last couple of years at Florida State, it started getting rocky.
He did have a 9-1 season the COVID year because I was like, God, he doesn't even win 10 games. But he was that year. His team was good anyway.
Okay, so it's easier to kind of flip flop on some questionable guys in college, but the high end guys, like it's set. And I just kind of go back and forth. Like I've never really pivoted on Harbaugh. Now I do think you can't hold him to the standard of like Urban Meyer and Nick Saban because he's not that guy. But relative to college coaches and just coaches in general, like he's in the high end percentage. Like Kyle's high end is good. I had an assistant coach ask me last week who likes Kyle, who like admires his work and thinks he's good. But he's like, in this profession, once you get to become a coordinator and definitely a head coach, part of the reason he's like, good or bad, I'll never, and I've never really thought about this because we were talking like how much money these coordinators make. And he's an NFL guy. I'm like, would you coach in college? I'm like, what's the average offensive coordinator in the Power 5? And without hesitation, he said 7 figures. So, I mean, the money is so immense. He's like, well, I'll never apologize for money because of the shit that my family has to go through. My wife and parents have to read. Now, it's easy for me. I'm in it. I know I don't care when things are going bad to read it, but they do. And like, it hurts my mom and my wife. And what I go through during the season that my 3-year-old daughter, like, doesn't even see me for 6 months. She cries during the season when I hold her because, like, I feel like a stranger to her because I can go weeks depending on the schedule of, like, we don't even, obviously kids, they sleep when they go to bed. Like, I work crazy hours. It's like, yeah, I've never really, I have thought about it when you're in it, but you're not really thinking about the personal element of it. And I do just wonder with Kyle, and my defense of Kyle was, well, he definitely, if last year they had lost that Rams game and missed the playoffs, it would have been very, very hard to defend him. But not only did he find a way to win that game, then he went as an underdog and beat the fucking Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers on the road. So I was like, those 2 games specifically, after it was somewhat, I would say there were arguments on both sides going into that final stretch in 2021. He won 2 road playoff games last year. Like that was a pretty big moment after he'd already won a couple playoff games 2 years before. So it's like, to me, road playoff games earn you a lot of street cred. And that's like for Jim Harbaugh, for example, he had that 50-20 or whatever his regular season record was and that. So it was like, God, this guy's just a tornado of winning. Where it's like, Kyle's a tornado of losing to the Bears and right, they're 3-4 right now. That I know they've had some injuries. Given their opponents, it's been a very, very disappointing 7 games. I think it's fair to say.
Well, at minimum, yeah, agreed. At minimum, it's been a roller coaster when you consider it's been 7 weeks of Trey is hurt Really, it's Garoppolo returns, Trey Lance gets hurt, Garoppolo takes back over, you trade for Christian McCaffrey. It's October 25th.
Yeah, a lot of shit's going on.
That's a lot. And there is this weird, like...
Do you think, though, that he gets, like, fair criticism? He gets defended?
Well, look, there's a lot of criticism. And there's a lot of defense. And I think I am pro Kyle Shanahan. And I also think he gets a lot of fair criticism. Is that the simple?
Do you agree he's like in this weird lane that a lot of other coaches aren't in?
I don't. Well, just think about the resume, John. 6-10, 4-12, Super Bowl, 6-10, NFC Championship game, 3-4. Like of his what?
But also here's the other thing
years.
where I think a lot of coaches would even say like, well, look he's 3-4 this year. It hasn't looked great, and everyone's like, everyone. I mean, I see Sean Payton say this on TV. I'm not saying it right now because I'm not as confident as some of the outsiders, but like legitimate football people, like Niners are about to get hot. Watch out. They're going to figure it out. They're just too talented. And I'm like, well, I think that, and I saw it last year, but I wouldn't bet the old life savings on it right now.
Yeah, I think most good coaches over the balance of 6-7 years have more years where they're not walking a tightrope than Kyle Shanahan, who feels like he's walking a tightrope every year. Like even, last year being the NFC title game year, anyone who lived that season knows it was insane. At no point for most of the year were you thinking this team's going to the NFC Championship game. And yet there they were. Now, like the 19 season.
If I told you right now, 2-1 odds, at what number would you feel comfortable putting money on this team with who they got moving forward to make the playoffs? 2-1 odds, though. Because you'd be like, of good teams. I mean, if I give you 2-1 odds to make the playoffs, you'd be like, fuck, I'll put like $20,000 or whatever. But I was like, would you feel great putting like 1,000? Like, I don't think that's a lock.
I mean, what would make you feel a little better would be last year they found a way, and their schedule post-bye and the NFC in general this year is just pretty uninspiring. But a lot has gone wrong for them this year, and we're not even I guess we're just about halfway through the season, right? Like a lot of the projections, if you're going to be pro playoffs, have to do with everything coming together in a year in which, what we've seen to this point says it's going to be a juggling act. Juszczyk is now out a week. Debo's got a hamstring he's managing day to day. I don't know if you saw what Kyle said about Eric Armstead, but basically no return in sight, no clue when he's coming back. And he's their best interior defensive lineman.
So it's safe to say his season's over almost? I mean, till told otherwise?
We have to wait until it's not flaring up as much. Well, if it's flaring up while you're waiting around, what's going to happen when he starts playing football?
Yeah.
Greenlaw's got a calf, and Greenlaw's out there he's got a wrap on his calf during the game. So it's, some guys came back, but they're not exactly.
Flanagan Fowles is one of those guys good in preseason games, and you watch him like miss his open field tackles. You're like, yeah, it was just a little bit of a drop off from him and Alshire, right?
Why is it such a roller coaster all the time? 2019 was a roller coaster in the sense that they played in a bunch of big games, but they were just kicking ass, and that's what a good team looks like, right?
Once you're 8-1, you're in the playoffs, and then it's just like, where's our seeding going to be?
Like I was texting with a buddy a couple days ago, and he's like, I could see Kyle going somewhere else and kind of, having a quarterback and having Andy Reid's having Andy Reid's career. And I said, well, the problem with that is Andy won his division in Philly like 6 or 7 times. Like Andy went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 or 6 NFC championship games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 NFC championship games, and one of them he went to the Super Bowl, right? Like Andy had 11, 11, 12, 12, 13. Then he had a 10. Then he had a 9, an 11, a 10. Like Andy had a 6-win season. Yeah, Andy had an 8-win season. His last year there was 4. But shit, he was 130 and 93 with a bunch of playoff wins.
Yeah.
Right?
And once he got his crew in, he was winning, right? Like that, when you start rattling off those 11 and 12s, that's when he had been there 2 or 3 years and got his crew guys.
Year 2, he got 11 wins and just rattled off. From year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, he won 22, 20, 34, 46, 59 games in 5 years.
What would you put the over/under Niner
And
wins?
2, 4, 6, 9, 7 playoff games in 5 years. That was the other thing. Andy was winning playoff games every year. He won a playoff game every year.
I'd put the over/under Niner wins this year at 8.5. Do you feel confident that they're getting to the 9-10 range?
All right. Well, let's look. They're 3-4 right now.
They're favored this week.
Even though they started plus 4.5. I don't know if you saw that. Then they got, all right, the favorite Chargers, Arizona.
Who do you like to bye week? That should no injury. Anyone get injured that week?
Are they going to beat? They play Seattle one more time and Arizona two times. Are they going to win all 3 of those games? Right now, you have to say no.
I would say if they go 2-1, they're in pretty good shape.
Okay.
Well, guys, if they go 2-1 and they were to beat the Rams, that would be they would be 5-1 in the division. You would sign up for that regardless who you beat, right? 5-1. Would you say every NFL team in the league besides the Chiefs would sign up for 5-1 every year
in their division? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Chiefs can't stomach a loss to.
Yeah, they just don't even like. They don't. They're no equals.
New Orleans, Miami. Tampa. Whatever. That game will be hard, guaranteed.
That was that 3-game stretch is all at home, correct? That you just read.
Yep. Then Seattle on Thursday night.
Not easy. Up there, the 12s.
Football team at the Raiders, dogfight. We'll be there for that.
I told you, man, if they wouldn't have put it on that date, it's very disappointing. Can you imagine how, honestly, if that Raider game was this week, how sweet that would be?
It's going to be a big day for the mentions.
Yeah, but it's on January 1st, right? Is that the date?
Yeah, it's on January 1st.
I just think that's just
I agree.
You could, to me, that has Commanders written all over it. If I could switch Commanders and Raiders, I would pay the NFL. Out of my own pocket like $5.
Problem though, the Commanders game's on December 24th, the day before Christmas.
Okay, that's a bad thing too. You know what I mean, though. Just like the Saints. Let's use the Saints.
No, I got you.
To me, the Raiders are just like, give me a random October date or November date. I hate that. Now, problem is, right, this year, 24th and the 25th are Saturday and Sunday, and the NFL is going to own that weekend.
Yeah.
They said Adam Silver were coming, and we're stealing all the eyeballs.
So Niners have 10 games left, right? You said over 8.
So 5-5, you're 8-9, right?
Yeah, I mean that's.
Can they go 7-3?
I mean, at this point, it'd be hard pressed to feel good about that. Can they go 6-4? 6-4 is 9 wins. Does that get you in the playoffs in the NFC this year?
Be tight. Does that win you the division? Maybe
it could. It could, depending on if you go 5-1 in the division and you're 9-4 overall, then you're actually in good shape.
I'll be honest. Right? When I say 7-3, that sounds really good, and that's what they have to do to get to 10.
Yeah, which is 10-7, not 10-6.
Which is not. I mean, they went 10-7 last year and felt kind of meh.
I think they can go over. I think they get to 9 wins. Yeah, I do.
10.
At this point, it's a little hopeful to say that. Go 7-3, given the.
Well, listen, the only thing that truly you get judged on is the playoff victories. But like football, like the regular season, we do kind of judge your records as time goes on. You go back-to-back 10-7. While not bad, it's not exactly untouchable territory. Right?
No, but you don't get fired for even in the new 17 games.
No, I'm not saying he's on the hot seat or whatever, but like good coaches, like you just start rattling off like 11, 12, 11.
Yeah.
It's like you have a stretch like that and you're winning playoff games. People are like, this guy's an ass kicker. You're still getting argued at 10-7.
Yeah.
You just have a 13-win season. Like, is that possible? Your team's really good. But another one.